Welcome to episode 115 of the Guardian 1 podcast. We record live Thursdays at 8 p.m. Pacific, 11 Eastern, right here on twitch.tv/Guardian 1 Network. My name is Remy, and I want to ride on my chocobo all day. Tonight I'm joined by Jez.
Good morning.
Agrios.
Yeah.
Sharks.
2017, time to clean house!
And Gray.
Good evening, Guardians.
We're going to be talking about all things Destiny, but first, housekeeping.
Hello, Guardians. Thank you for listening in on the podcast, however it is that you are choosing to listen. Be sure to follow Guardian 1 on Twitter at G1Net. That's G, the number 1, N-E-T. In addition, be sure to check out the Guardian 1 website at guardian1.net. If you want to send us an email, you can send it to feedback@guardian1.net. If you do a search on Bungie.net for Guardian 1, you'll find our forums group, which we also use for both comments and feedback. Big thank you to all those currently in the Twitch chat. As Remy said at the top of the podcast, you can watch the show live at twitch.tv/Guardian1Network. We broadcast every Thursday at 11 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Pacific. If you can't catch the show live, you can always search for the Guardian 1 podcast on iTunes, as well as the Guardian 1 YouTube channel at youtube.com/Guardian1Network. Guardian 1 is a proud member of the Guardian Radio Network, so be sure to check out the Guardian Radio Network website at theguardiansofdestiny.com. There you'll find all the different podcasts as part of the network, including the flagship podcast, Guardian Radio. They broadcast every Monday night at 8:30 p.m. Eastern, 5:30 p.m. Pacific on twitch.tv/Guardian Radio. You can also follow their Twitter account at GuardiansOD and their YouTube channel, youtube.com/GuardiansOD. Other podcasts that are part of the Guardian Radio Network include previous episodes of TTL Party Chat and Robust Radio. There's also a podcast called Ghost and Echoes, which contains a bit of fan fiction and audio versions of the Grimoire cards found within Destiny. That's it for housekeeping. I'll see you again soon.
Alrighty, thank you very much, Hollow River. I would like to begin episode 115 by giving a big Guardian 1 shout out to our newest member, Onsoon. I have not played with you yet. Looking forward to, and hopefully we'll kick some Destiny ass. Welcome to the group. Crafting Geek, Jess, this wonderful person I know from Twitter from oh so long ago. It seems like 2013, so long ago. She posted recently a link to her website where she has listed how-tos on each of the cross-stitchings of Destiny memorabilia that she's done. I feel very, very lucky that she sent me a link holding up a Traveler. I put it on my Christmas tree, and I posted a picture on Twitter, and it's outstanding. And I see her making all of these great crafts. And I think to myself, oh, I should ask her if she'll make me this one, or I should ask her if she'll make me this one. But I'm not somebody who's really interested in sucking off other people's time. She's very busy. She's got a lot on her plate, like so many of these people in the Destiny community. She does so much for, and that's just one side of her. Like, this is the side that I see of her, is this outward crafting, talking about Destiny persona. And I can't even imagine, what other aspects of her life there is, but I'm sure there are plenty. She's a very sweet girl. And so the website is thecraftinggeek.com. And the very first post is called Eyes Up Guardian, and it just shows all the different ones that she's done so far. And I think to myself, I would like to try some of these. I don't know why. Cross stitching is not something that I've done much of. Like, I don't want to say I've never done it, because I've done some crazy crafts throughout the years. But then I think to myself, she's posted these how-tos, and so it's, I don't know, outstanding, really outstanding work. Really great to have her as part of the Destiny community. Always very positive, always very supportive, and extremely crafty, very crafty. So if you are interested in making one of these things, hit up her webpage and just get it right there from the horse's mouth, how to do these things. It makes me want to do them. Moving on, Strider rant. rants on Twitter, and then not a whole lot of people hear him. Not a whole lot of people follow Strider. And he tweeted not too long ago, January 1st, as a matter of fact. He tweeted this rant, and he gave warning ahead of time that he was going to go on this rant. And the very last part of this Twitter rant, he says, hope someone read all those tweets. Well, Strider, I will do you one better, and I will have us talk about it right now, because I feel like he's got really good ideas, and he loves Destiny, like we love Destiny. So I'll just read them from start to finish, and then we can give our thoughts on what he's talking about. So he started with brace yourself. I think that there was supposed to be an F at the end, but he's from a different part of the world, and they might just leave off the F. I don't know. So he says, so a lot of people want year one raids back, but do you really? So many complaints about recycled content, then asking for content to be recycled? As great as both year one raids were, we'll never get that year one magic back. It's gone. Besides, you can still run year one raids for fun. What I would like from an April update would be new, assuming we get an April update this year. New year, new content. So let's say we get a large Crucible map, but the game mode is horde mode, not PoE style. Waves of increasingly harder enemies until said enemies outlevel you and you cannot fight back. You die. Now, what if this new large Crucible map was set in the last city? See where I'm going with this yet? Setting the scene for D2. Now rewards. Rewards could be new weapons and armor to enjoy in other content, but the main takeaway is you've played your character's death. Rather than, here's D2, now start at level 1 Scrub Lord. Also hidden in said large Crucible map would be a code, say 12 digits. Once found, it's redeemed on BNet for the Destiny 2 beta. Boom. Part new content, part marketing. Pay me, I'm going home. Because let's face it, no one deciphered the code on last exit because there was no reward. Hope someone read all those tweets. And I feel like we've covered a lot of this previously, but I think that this is worth going over again. Gray, what do you think about this? What do you think about the idea that people are complaining about recycled content? And I know this on my side because I've seen people complaining about the recycled content and then them begging for year one raids to come back as an updated version, which would then be more recycled content. And what do you think about the idea of a giant horde mode where enemies get harder until they outlevel you? And also, what do you think about the idea for setting the scene for D2? So you play this deal, and this might help you out in Destiny 2, or at least be representative of some portion of time you've put into Destiny up until then. What do you think about all this?
It's a lot to unpack, man.
Agreed. That's why I went to you first.
Yeah. I don't necessarily share in either the salt of them just kind of returning content. It doesn't tend to bother me that much that they retool some old things, but I also didn't go through what you guys went through when House of Wolves came out and some of the backlash that I think really left a lasting impression on taking strikes and just running them backwards and calling them something new for a paid DLC, especially an early paid DLC. I don't necessarily have that in my psyche, my Destiny psyche. With that said, I then certainly lean on trying to make those old raids relevant again. And I understand that new content needs to have a better carrot at the end of the stick, so people want to do the new content. But I definitely feel bad that there's a lot of content in Destiny that's just kind of left to the experience itself without any accurate reward. And Strider's right. This is a looter-shooter game, and the rewards have to be at least somewhat substantial in order to drive the player base to want to invest their time and energy in participating in it. At least from a larger perspective, our little subset, and we're the unique ones that really love this game, we do it because we like playing with our friends, we like taking people through new experiences. We don't necessarily do it all the time just to get the loot or to collect things in the game. But if they want to drive a larger player base, then it's probably got to appeal to a larger player base by being more rewarding. So I think he's dead on in saying that there has to be better rewards if they want people to participate in specific content. His point about the code on that one Crucible map, and it kind of, I forget what it's called. What's it called, Remy? That Crucible map? Last Exit. Yeah, and nobody solved it. See, that's how I haven't even looked in to see if anybody ever solved it, but nobody ever solved what that code was.
It's supposed to lead to an Easter egg. It's unclear, like, it's unclear exactly how deep the Easter egg's supposed to go. Like, there is a lot of stuff that people have figured out, and maybe they just kind of figured out it all, and it's just not that awesome of an Easter egg. Like, I haven't read up on it most recently, but if you analyze the map on Last Exit, there's the colored pathways, and those colored pathways mean different things, and it seems to relate to, like, I don't remember, the Axis battle or something like that, the way the colors work.
Yeah,
Okay.
so, I mean, we're pretty diehard Destiny players here on the show, and most of us have lost interest in that little Easter egg hunt pretty quickly, I think. So I think Strider's right. I don't think that there is enough incentive to put in the work to figure that little piece out, unless that was all that it is, and people have already figured it out.
I remember last time there was an Easter egg, and I was sitting on a wall for 5 hours hearing 1, 4, 7, 6. Well, there's no 7, but all the numbers from 1 to 6 in every random order. That was fun.
That sounds like a lot of fun. I still haven't done that. Was it cool?
It's like, yeah, we're opening it, and it's just a basketball court.
What was this?
That's pretty crazy.
What? I've never even heard of this. What is this?
Do you remember when King's Fall came out? There was an Easter egg with the phallus wall, where
There's a secret room people found.
Yeah, there was basically a bunch of little spikes on the wall with different lights, and you jumped on them in a specific order, and it made one of the engine pistons shoot out that's right next to the start, and that pushed you to a door.
Huh.
Yeah, crazy. It's crazy. I remember it going down on Twitter. I think it was Deej that said, "Oh, this is like a little Easter egg," and I believe it was Leopard Stealth who was the first commenter to that. And they're like, great way for me to spend my weekend. Like, I guess he had spent, several days trying to figure all this out, and it was intricate.
I think it's like Lost to Light, like a Black Spindle quest, like they've uncovered or something. But it turns out it's just a developer like practice area.
Yeah.
And so it was really intricate. Like I don't know how they figured that out. I mean, I don't have that much time on Destiny as it is, but that's some deep.
Well,
that's going
basically,
deep.
You jump where lights light up, so you just follow and jump right where these lights light up on the pistons. And if you follow the lights and jump where they light up, there's one piston that never shoots out, normally shoots out. So, like, if someone just decides they're hunting for stuff like Leopard Stealth was, you see these pistons randomly lighting up. That's basically the line of what happened.
It's cool. I do feel bad for him spending all that time for what amounted to just an Easter egg, though.
Yes.
Yeah. So the more intricate I think
time
it takes to solve the puzzle, the better the reward should be at the end of the puzzle. That's just a general rule. As far as setting up for D2, I like his thoughts because I want to see the tower burn.
Oh my God!
That's why I like it. I want to see the tower burn. I want to see the vault burn, and I want to see a really low point for the Guardians, so that we have something to really strive for and something really great to accomplish by the end of Destiny 2.
Gotcha. What do you think about when you do this? There's a code on that map that you have to find that will give you the Destiny 2 beta.
When you do, you're gonna have to define when you do this.
He didn't really go into it. Also hidden in said large Crucible map could be a code, say 12 digits, I imagine that if it was like a static code that was redeemable multiple times, that once one person found it, I mean, it would be very difficult to ignore. Like I have Datto on notification positive, so when they found those codes, it just came up right in my feed. Like I just saw the codes as they came across. So I think it would have to be something that you would have to go in, and it would be your personal one-time redeemable. Like once you get maybe to a certain part of this map, or maybe just finishing it.
Yeah, that would be a pretty big achievement for completing whatever they create. I don't think anybody would feel like their work wasn't worthwhile if they got invited to participate in a beta experience. I find it very hard to believe that they would want to do that, though. It would all depend on if they want the beta to select for a particular player base, because they certainly would be doing this to select for a very specific player base.
Actually, you know what? That sounds really good. I really like that idea a lot now that I'm thinking about it, because this would mean that you'd have to be, I'm assuming that you'd have to be a certain level, like level 40 and possibly light level 400 to get into this mission. And then, you're going to lose because the enemies end up out leveling you at some point. So this would be only for people who were hardcore enough to get to level 40, light level 400, and then play that mission. Like I think that that's brilliant. I think that that's way brilliant. Like the idea that here is your opportunity. This would be it. This would be a reason to bulk up. This would be a reason to strive for in the game. I think it's really good. I wasn't certain about it when I first read through these, but once I read this, I knew I was going to talk about this on the show. So I decided to just hang out with it.
Clarify that just a little bit for me.
What's that?
Can you clarify that just a little bit for me?
Clarify what?
How that would work exactly.
Well, you get to light level 400 and you play this mission. It would be not unlike Halo's Firefight, or even the last level of Halo Reach, where you die. You get to see this. Mm-hmm. You start at the beginning. Like, I don't know. It's fantastic. So then you would have to be light level 400. You go in and you play this mission, and once you die, you're given a code. And this is how you get the Destiny beta.
And you mean you play the Destiny beta with your current character?
Well, no. I'm assuming that you would go in and something
you're saying
like...
it was more of a reason to go out and do stuff and bulk up. You mean just so you'd last longer in that mode then?
Well, just so you'd last longer, but also, I mean, because if you were like 397, I gave up at 397. Oh, the Destiny 2 beta's out. The only way I can get into this Destiny 2 beta is through my character in playing this mode.
I gotcha.
Yeah.
I misunderstood for a moment. I thought you meant it would be more reason to go out and do stuff on your Destiny 1 character to prep him for Destiny 2. And I wasn't seeing how that was relating, but I understand what you're saying now.
Got it.
This would be my only concern about that, dear Bungie. You could get some bad press, people saying, I'm not as skilled a player to qualify for the beta.
Oh.
Obviously, Bungie only cares about people who are really skilled players in this game. They're not about the casual player.
Okay, your vanilla Destiny, all of the updates except for Rise of Iron make sense to me, because it was difficult to get to 30 in vanilla. It was not easy to get to 320 necessarily. I feel like getting to 400 is so easy that you would have to basically not be trying in order to get there, because there's so many avenues up. What did you want to say, Agrios?
So I was going to say, one, I wouldn't want to make the beta exclusive to people who could do that. Now, I have two solutions to that. One would be to have the beta be 2 weeks long, and you get access to the first week by getting that code, and everybody has access the second week. The other option would be, when Destiny 1 launched, there was a closed alpha. Not everybody could get into it. They eventually just kind of opened it up the last day or so, but the alpha was closed. Not everybody just got to participate in it. So, something like this could get you entry into, say, an alpha, and then the beta could be open to everybody.
Yeah. I think he was also saying that perhaps doing it this way, completing this mission and getting this specific code would give you some kind of, you're not just starting equal with everyone who plays only Destiny 2, which I'm also a fan of. I definitely want to see my time put into Destiny as some form of something in Destiny 2. You know, I'm becoming more and more comfortable with the idea that nothing is carrying over, which inevitably leads me right back to believing that some things could carry over. Like it wouldn't make sense for something like Marks or Glimmer, because at the cap right now, you could have that done in like a week, so it's not that big of a deal. But then I go right back to thinking everything should carry over, and then I go into nothing should carry over. But at this point, playing Destiny for me is like, I don't even want to do it, because I have to delete stuff in order to play anything, because the idea is to go and play and get more stuff, and I have to delete other stuff. So it's just this horrible circle.
So I need to say this right now, but Remy has this sort of puppy dog thing going on, that when he gets happy, he bounces a certain way extra. And when he gets like stressed out about something, he bounces a certain way extra. It's kind of like the tail wag.
Right. Definitely.
But
definitely.
But like I had a really cool idea, and then also something I wanted to say that goes along with what you're talking about. I think you're talking about recycled material, and I don't think it's that people don't want recycled material. I think it's that people don't want only recycled material. I think people are perfectly happy to get some run backward strikes, some brought up to light level certain things, this and that, as long as there's also a balanced amount of new content as well. So I don't think it's that they don't want any recycled content. I think it's that they don't want too much relative to what they're getting to be recycled.
Got it.
And something as far as carrying on, I had this idea when you were talking a moment ago, but like, if we're not going to carry our characters that we have right now into Destiny 2, something that might be neat story-wise, and since, you know, your characters are attached to Bungie.net, it wouldn't be that hard to do. What if your character that you make for Destiny 2, their ghost is the same ghost that you have now? Like, their ghost is your ghost. Your guardian's gone. He was killed in battle somewhere. But your ghost has selected... Your old ghost has come and selected you now, the new guardian Destiny 2. And based upon your being attached to the Bungie.net account, as you go through the game, he tells you about the legend of the Guardian who he belonged to before you. And it's based upon what you really did on that character, because it knows from the Bungie.net account.
You know, sometimes I'll say some things about Destiny, and people will look at me like, man, you are dreaming. And right now, Agrios, I'm looking at you. You are dreaming.
It would be cool.
It would be cool. It would be cool. Man, there's a ton of shit that would be cool. Sharks, your turn. What do you think about the idea that people are basically begging for recycled raids? They are complaining about recycled raids, if this is something that you have seen as well. But what do you think about this large Crucible map and it being something where you are inevitably, without a doubt, 100% overrun because the enemies just get tougher at some point, and this leads you into some kind of Destiny 2 beta. What do you think about all this?
Okay, so first let's start with the obvious. Everybody wants the old raids to be brought up to light level so that people can go back and do stuff and actually collect the gear that they want at current light levels. That's really the biggest reason that people want that. If Bungie
Sharks, I want to just interrupt you real quick, just because I would add that as a year 2 player who never got to experience those raids as they were originally experienced, I've only ever done them when I was so over leveled that it was never a challenge. And one of my questions is, what's this raid like when it's actually challenging?
It's challenging.
That the content forced you to like do those raids on level as you came through.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just saying that there's two things. There's getting that loot at current light levels, but the other side of it is, as a player who wants to experience everything there is to experience in Destiny, that's still something that I don't have the opportunity to experience.
Well, I mean, you do have the opportunity. I mean, you can still go back and earn that level gear from the level like missions, right? Like with a character. No?
I guess I could go and underlevel myself and try to get a team of people to underlevel themselves so that we would go in with that type of experience. You're right.
Well, remember, your actual level doesn't matter. You like, can just throw on old gear.
Like when you're playing the story and you're hitting level 20 or whatever the late level equivalent to that is these days, like I wish the game informed you this is the time when you should tackle the raid. Like the game just lets you level way too quickly the whole way through. Like I think there's a lot of missed opportunities too for like farming and like repeat play too. With there could be modifiers everywhere. I'm annoyed that none of the hard modes the whole way through the game, except for the first time you can choose to play it if you choose to play it on hard mode, reward you anything extra for going actually through that story mode mission. Like put modifiers on everything. Like you know what I mean? Like I think there should be a lot more opportunities for that like throughout the game.
A little digression. Sorry, Mark or Sharks. I didn't mean to interrupt you.
Right. Sharks, I want to say that you're really kicking ass as far as like Buddhist style, just sitting there calmly waiting to unleash your beard upon the masses. Continue, please.
Now I'll do a shameless plug for Guardian One podcast. It's Made You Say It. Follow us and also chime in chat. All right. No. Okay. So. What I was going to say is, and it actually goes to what Gray's problem is going back and playing the game, and this is the whole issue that Bungie has had for since the beginning and trying to bring stuff up. They're getting better at making everything the same light later on. And it's very difficult to do, and they probably didn't have the foresight or thinking that people would even want to do that. But so again, going back, making everything the same light level so that people can play it. People want to do that. People always want to go back and play old things. I was streaming yesterday, and K-Dub jumped in my stream, and he's like, have you done that strike a million times? So I was like, yeah, you have, but it's new light levels and whatnot, and I just wanted something to do, so I went and did that strike, and I think that's what a lot of people are calling for and crying out for as far as getting these raids, redone. Now, saying that, you're right. Everybody's going to complain. Everybody always complains. It doesn't make a difference what Bungie does. If Bungie hands out $1 million to every single player next year, everybody's going to be complaining about something else. Okay? People complain. People wanted green engrams. Lots of green engrams. They gave everybody green engrams and they complained. All right. Now, mind you, there were green engrams everywhere and, it was a pain in the ass. And so people had the right to complain. And what did Bungie do? They take it all away. Now, this goes into the other part is that, is Bungie going too far with what they change to, you hear complaints about something and whatnot. Yeah, maybe, I don't know. It's hard. It's hard to make video games. It's hard to appease every single person out there. So yeah, if they go and redo all these old raids, redo all the strikes, redo all the Crucible maps, let everybody play all these things on actual accurate light levels. It will be fun for people like us, the 1%ers or whatever you want to call them, that go in there and play it all the time. But you're still going to hear the complaints. It's recycled goods. Yep, it is. And as long as they aren't charging a fortune for it, maybe that's all right. I mean, we got the update last year, and that didn't cost anything. It cost from Eververse. Yeah, I guess it did cost something, but it's not coming straight out of your pocket, so it's not gonna affect people as much. It'd be different if they were repurposing all these raids and saying, okay, here's a new DLC, send me $40, and all you're gonna get is the exact same thing that's light leveled. That would really piss people off. But yeah, I think it would be neat to go in and bring people like Gray through where it is hard. Now, what Agrios is saying as far as, yeah, you can go in there and you can underlight, yourself. It's not really the same. People aren't going to do that. People, I mean, it's just not going to happen. People aren't going to do that. There's no reason to make it harder on yourself. So it's the people that haven't gotten a chance to do it. It's almost like us saying, Bungie, you do it, because then it forces people to go in there and play it. So that's my thoughts on the repurpose stuff. Whether they'll do it or not, I don't know. As far as the horde mode, so I'm not big on horde modes in general. That's basically what zombies was from Call of Duty, right? I mean, you go in and you're playing level after level that's harder and harder and harder. And I don't even know if there was an end game there, So, I mean, it's something to do. I think that they basically did that with kind of like the Prison of Elders was hard mode or horde mode. So was Archon's Forge. It's just not really hard. And I think that's kind of the point. If Bungie makes something so hard and so impossible to do, the hardcore players are going to be super stoked, because they're going to be like, yeah, it's so difficult to get through. But most of the other people are going to be like, hell no, I'm not going to waste my time doing that. I don't get it. And then what do you do about rewards? Because that's part of the reason to go in and do stuff in this game, is you got to reap the rewards. And if you're put into something like a horde mode that's, virtually at some point it's going to be impossible, where do you decide where the rewards come, if at all? And will you get drop off like you have with Trials? I mean, Trials is one of those things that people, that the people that are really good at it want it to be a little bit more difficult to a point, and it is. But the people that aren't good at it, they're like, it's not worth going in there and doing it. I'm not going to get anything for it. Why waste my time? So it's kind of the same thing. So I don't know. I don't know if a horde mode would really do it for me. But again, now we're talking about something that's quote unquote free, right? So I don't know. I like the idea of having something hidden to give people a chance to work for. I think in order to make it happen without doing what you said, as far as once somebody found it, it would go viral. Maybe have it attached to your account somehow, like your character has a specific number, and then you I don't know. I mean, it would have to be some kind of randomly generated thing, which we know that RNG is possible in Destiny, so they would just have to put it with numbers for something else. But I like the idea of doing something, playing to a point, and getting a beta key for Destiny 2, sure. I don't think that we are going to see at pretty much at any point in Destiny 1 the downfall of the tower or anything like that. That's going to be movie sequences that you will see when you put in the disc or buy the download for Destiny 2. Because if you see the downfall of Destiny now, then you're done. Then you're not playing anymore, right? So I can't see them putting that into the game as we see it now. They're just not going to tell us, and then people are going to say, okay, time to play.
I see what you're saying. Okay, Agrios, what do you think about all this?
Well, I said a bit of my opinion on it as we went through, responding to each individual person. But,
you did.
I think. I mean, in general, I like the ideas. I like innovation. I like ARG-ish sort of things. I like tying the beta code into stuff there, or like the alpha code anyway. like the community gets to start playing it when the first person in the community figures it out type thing. Like that sounds kind of nifty. Like if that's what he's getting at to a degree, you know, like the beta's live, like they're out there, like they drop an update to Destiny, like they're like, this is the last day update you're getting till Destiny 2. By the way, Destiny 2 beta is live. Code is in the last update. Get cracking. That'd be pretty cool.
I like it. Lala, you say people don't want recycled material masquerading as new material. Right. Do you think that them redoing, like let's say takenifying or splicering Vault of Glass is considered recycled material masquerading as new material? Because I feel like although there wasn't a story directly within the Vault of Glass, there was a story being told through what was going on. So I'd like your opinion on that. Let's see. Jez, what's that?
No, go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to move on to Jez. I was asking you, Lala.
I was going to say, while we're talking about people in chat, YFD654 says, why does Bungie still hold back matchmaking for Nightfall? Well, I mean, they talk about it as being part of their design plan because they're under the feeling that, you get paired up with bad people and something where it's in content that's so punishing, it may leave a bad taste in your mouth. But I'm under the opinion that if you're already to that stage in Destiny, you have a grasp on what's going on. You can handle. You're a big boy. You can put your big boy pants on and take care of yourself. And like, like, is it time that they just break down and put optional? Yeah, like, but it should be optional for everything. Optional matchmaking for Nightfalls and raids.
It would have to be everything though. And I honestly, sure. I don't think Bungie want to do that. I understand us as players think that it should be an option, and I don't think it would be a bad option. Everybody freaked out. Bungie freaked out, and then they did it as far as matchmaking before, and then they started doing it with the heroic modes, and it didn't hurt at all. But before
we get too far, Sharks, how would you feel about if they had in the game like something like they have on Bungie.net, where it's not just matchmaking, but smart matchmaking, where you can post an LFG sort of post. Like you actually pull up a screen and see a looking for a game sort of thing, but in Destiny.
I understand that. And I'm not the one that's saying I don't want it. I think it would be awesome, to like jump into trials and go in with people. But the problem, I think the problem that Bungie has with it is the huge potential for trolls. You're going to get it. You're going to get people go in there and they're going to get a kick out of getting all the way to whatever point and then say, screw you, I'm out of here, and just sit there and laugh their butts off and go.
But you could make no kick an option.
Say again?
You could make no kick an option with matchmaking. Like, okay, if you matchmake in a straight...
No, I'm not talking about kicking. I'm talking about they leave. Oh. Okay, so for instance, if you're talking about doing it for everything, you would also include trials. Okay?
Yeah, but hopefully matchmaking would fill your hole then.
In a trials card? In a trials card during a trials match. No, that ain't gonna happen.
No, not trials. I'm talking about like if they match-made Nightfalls.
Okay.
No, I can't see them doing that. Bungie's whole thing with Destiny is we built this game to bring people together, to work together, blah, blah, blah. It's not our responsibility to matchmake three people that aren't ever going to talk, and because they're, whatever their reasons is. I agree. I think that it's an option to try it, but it's not going to happen. I don't see it happening. I don't ever see it happening.
Okay. So first off, no, thank you, Mark Square. Next step, I agree with ZDog88. Nightfalls are no longer punishing, or at least not the ones that have been going on the last couple of weeks, on top of the fact that you are not sent back to orbit. Like, basically,
that's the biggie.
That is the biggie, and that was when we discussed this originally, matchmaking in Nightfalls. The idea was that you could have somebody who was going to screw up the entire thing. And now I get what Sharks is saying. There's definitely a way for people to lead you through this whole thing, and then they could split, or they could just not help. Like, I've been in strikes where the person, like, I totally remember this very vividly. Me and my dad were running strikes, and the third person that we got with us, he just hung out on those lamps in that room that you hung out with in Omnigul, and he just danced. He just sat there and danced and looked at us, and it was really hard to get there, and we just decided to leave. We just decided to leave because screw that guy.
What about a no peak option?
Here, I wanna put something else out there, because this has been really big going through the community at this point in time. People, okay, we talk about, not being happy with repurposed stuff and whatever else. A lot of people aren't happy with Nightfalls. Nightfalls are, and it's like, okay, so we're talking about, oh, well, give people the opportunity to matchmake with them, but people don't like the way Nightfalls are because they're not really hard anymore. They are, but they're hard, but they're not really that hard. And I mean, you can, in theory, a lot of times go in there and do them yourselves because people are so high leveled, and you don't get rewards for it anyways, and it's just not really fun. And I mean, you listen to Briar Rabbit. Briar said, second I get my icebreaker, I'm not ever going to do a Nightfall again. I didn't do Nightfall for a whole year. I know lots of people that have been like that. So what if they turned around and made Nightfalls hard again, like they were in year one? All right, kick you to orbit, give you good rewards, all this stuff. Now we go back to saying, okay, now do you still want match-made Nightfalls?
Z-Dog has a good point. 3 of Coins ruined a lot of stuff, including Nightfalls. Because Nightfalls were precious before because they were one of your few shots a week you had at getting an exotic. There
That's
were
a good
certain
point.
places in the early game that you could count on your hands the number of places you had a shot at getting an exotic in Vanilla Destiny each week. Yep. And
that's very true.
I threw that out the window.
I threw it out last week, 2 weeks in a row, no 3 of Coins. Are they trying to get rid of them? I don't have any more 3 of Coins.
Let's talk about that. Okay.
I've been saving them up.
Well, hold on. Before we move on from this topic, the one thing I don't understand is you can always go into any of these activities as a fire team of 3 and not matchmake. So I'm wondering, what's the downside? You always have the choice of avoiding the matchmaking. We're just limiting people who would potentially want to use it, choose to use it.
No, because look what they did with heroic modes. Agrios and I were pissed when they originally did the matchmaking because we were like, oh, now we're stuck with some random douchebag that's going to sit there and not do anything. If you're going to do that, you have to give the option to not matchmake as well.
Oh, if you want to go in just as 2 people or just as solo.
Or one or whatever, yeah.
I see. Yeah, okay. Yeah, I could see that.
And again, I'm arguing the opposite point for Bungie because there's nobody here for Bungie to do it. I don't agree with not having matchmaking. I think it would be awesome.
I think matchmaking should always be optional too, like Shark's saying, like to the degree where they need to take a step back, like we used to be able to go in solo and we can't anymore. Right. It needs to always be an option, I think.
Right.
Can I fix strikes for a second?
Do it.
Maybe strikes should have bosses in between, so it's not just a race to the end. Also, maybe the Nightfall should be on a more stringent time restraint than 30 minutes. Like,
what do you think?
Like
20 minutes?
Like 15.
Really? 15 minutes to complete it, or to complete it for that extra Zavala bonus?
Complete it.
No, the way
I think you're pushing people into speed runs at that point.
Well, no, it's not a speed run. Because,
it is the idea of the medals and stuff now, right? They already realized people were doing speed runs. They just scored their speed runs.
Yeah, they kind of started that with the Zavala bounty, but I found it was kind of weird that I finished the Nightfall and there's still like 15 minutes on the clock.
Well, you're a badass, Jez. You can't measure regular Guardians by what you can do. That's just not fair. Okay?
Well,
not only
I didn't
that,
even think it
you've
was
got
that
like
bad,
a
but
seriously badass group of people who help you out with those things. Math class solved that that
ARG.
Yeah. The Outbreak Prime. Like you can't judge other people by what you do. Okay? Now I can't beat it in 15 minutes.
I guess.
Where are you going in there with the fire team at 3 also?
Well, yeah.
Well, yeah, but not everybody does. Like, for instance, I went in there with the fire team at 2, and we wiped. We wiped at the boss was almost dead, and we both screwed up, and there wasn't enough time to do it. And I was like, screw this. I'm not going through this. I don't have time to run through this raid again, at this point. So we'll do it again later. But, I understand that making things harder, but I mean, it's for one bounty. It's for one bounty that already sucks to do anyways. Ask Remy. Do you have icebreaker?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure what the point of. Everyone wants to do things with less than 3 people. Like,
because
I like doing the raid with one person.
Okay, for instance, I'll start playing at 10 a.m. till 6 p.m. Okay, almost every day. Do you know how many people are on during that time? Like 1 out of my 10 pages of friends, and then comes 6:30, 40 people are on, and I'm like, what the hell? Okay, so people are like that. Not everybody has people that they can play with all the time. So
I feel like I'm from a different universe though, because it's like, if I want to do something, I go to my Slack. I say, hey, you want to do this? And everyone's like, yeah, at 6. And then I'll wait until 6, and I'll do it.
Yeah, I think you are living in an alternate universe.
In my life, okay, so I'm not gonna do it like that.
So I'm thinking that just goes back to what I was saying, Jez. You have a really good group of people. But like for me, I could do that if I had the time. See, my time is so strangled that my funnest time with raids was just going through that first couple sections, just me and my son. Like right at that second, we were both available, and we could both just go through those sections. Like the idea that we could get raid level gear, just the 2 of us, was really exciting. And I realized that it was a way of doing it that wasn't, not planned. I'm certain that Bungie did not plan on, the warlock dying down on the ground and the other person jumping to the top of the tower to make everything despawn and then moving on from there. I'm certain that wasn't in the plans, but that was a lot of fun. That was an insane amount of fun, and it was fun because it wasn't a big to-do. Like I actually really enjoyed Wrath of the Machine. I actually have enjoyed all of the raids, but the idea of getting 5 other people than myself in some place and time playing this game, it's a lot of stress. It's a lot of,
should be.
Everybody has stuff to do, and if we don't go through this,
scheduling it though.
I hate when we don't complete the raid with one person and then another person comes in and we just complete it like on that very next round. I feel bad for that person who had to leave. So look at
his life.
You can't tell me how I feel, Agrios.
Well, just stop slacking and get it done in an hour. What do you mean? Why are you not getting it done? You don't get it done like the first week. Then after that, you just get it done.
Yeah.
So here's my thing. Like, this whole thing we're talking about with the whole, like, there not being as many players on and everything, this is all reasons why I think they need to add the matchmaking. Because here's the thing. Sharks and I together, we can more or less get things done. But, like, a third person sometimes in Shore Zone, like the more difficult Nightfalls and stuff like that. And if we could just easily get a third person, I'm sure we get a lot more stuff like that done. But right now, it's just a hassle. Why should it be a hassle to play the game? Stop it.
Okay, and there's a lot of hassles going on in this game right now, and a part of it is because people aren't playing, and it's not just my friends list that literally is 10 pages long. My Destiny friends list is 10 pages long on PS4. Okay, that's a lot of people that play Destiny. They're not playing. Okay, but neither is anybody else. I go into matchmaking. I went into matchmaking for strikes today because why not? I just figured I'll do some strikes. I didn't really have anything else to do, and I didn't feel like doing any Crucible. My wife was sleeping. I didn't want to start swearing at the TV. You know, I was streaming. Let's just have some fun and go and do some strikes. I sat in orbit for 5 minutes waiting for strikes, waiting for them to match me up with people. People aren't playing this game. People have to have an incentive to play this game, and unless you get people playing this game, it's not going to make a difference. None of this is.
So I'd like to get Jez's input on this, but I want to say first, before that I've just stopped playing for Icebreaker. Like I'm at a point in my game, I have been in a point in my game where in order to get anything, I have to delete something, and this is just you know, or I get to just watch it go straight out of my postmaster, and that's no fun either. And so I've just stopped trying to get Icebreaker because there is no reason for me to get it. Like there is no reason for me to get it. Now going to what Strider was saying about the horde mode, this is exciting. The idea that, you know, my choice of gear and my light level and the abilities that I pick and how I have my character set up, this is exciting because this means that every decision I make is going to be tested. It's going to be tested in this mode where, yeah, you can live to these upper levels if you've got the right gear equipped, if you're playing from the right positions, if you are working as a team. Like there's so much that you can do. And this is what's been missing from Destiny, and I've talked about this before. There is no reason to get to the highest light level because so you're going to go through the raid again and get the same stuff that you just got? Like, I've always wanted there to be an end game that is basically be as badass as you can be. And I feel like that's what this horde mode represents. I really, really enjoyed, what was it called in Halo? I'm drawing a blank now. Fire crap. I can't believe that I forgot this. I said it earlier in the show, and I'm bummed about it. But really, the idea of you know, using all of your gear to the best of your ability and working as hard as a team that you can until you are just inevitably overrun. But that's okay because that's the name of the game. I really like that idea. I really like the idea.
But what do you get? What do you get?
Well, there would be tiers. There would be, you know, like if you make it to this level, here is your rewards. If you make it to this level, here is your rewards. So you have to hold out and gain this many points. You know, they've already got the strike scoring in there. That could firefight. Thank you, Mark Square. Firefight. Oh, and also James 176. Thank you very much. Firefight. It was so much fun. You knew you were going to be overrun eventually, and it just led to how far can I go? And I want it and I need it. Like this is something that needs to be in Destiny.
But wait a minute. If you're already maxed out light, because you're talking about going in there maxed out light to be able to survive, what's the point of going in?
Well, that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. Like, I don't know what the rewards would be. His idea, Strider's idea, was that some of the rewards would be gear that you started with in Destiny 2. Instead of being a scrub like everyone else, if you could hit maybe this third tier, you would start with maybe not as crappy as armor as you would have previously. Or, you know, specifically, he said that there might be a code for the Destiny 2 beta. Like these are all things, but
doesn't that go back into the same thing that where some people are not going to be able to get it?
Yeah, definitely.
Do you feel that's fair?
Yeah.
Now, before you answer yes, because I see you're going to answer yes, think about how you didn't like Supremacy the first time. And you swore on this podcast you would never play Supremacy again. It wasn't fun because you couldn't get anything. You don't want to go in and you don't want to play Trials because it's not fun. You're getting your ass beat every time. Now you're talking about, we'll make a horde mode
It's PvE.
And have it doesn't matter if it's PvE or not.
He's
saying that.
No, it's different.
It's not when he's saying that the light level of the creatures will eventually be higher than you. But if there's some badass PvE person out there that gets his two badass friends, and they're the only ones in the community that are able to get this badass shit, you're going to be pissed off. You're going to be like, that sucks.
Okay, so there's a huge difference in my mind between PvE and PvP. And additionally, I'm glad that you brought up Supremacy, because there's also a lot of difference between playing 15 minutes of a game mode where enemies start off easy to beat and work their way up to difficult, and between every moment of playing this PvP match is hell, because every jackass from here to the tower has these super overpowered shotguns, and you just die over and over and over. I'm talking about this ramp up of difficulty in enemies, and then when you're dead, you're dead. That's where you ended off. That's where you stopped. It's not this being shit on over and over and over and over like Supremacy is. Like, they're way too different. Like, I see what you're saying, Sharks, and I don't want to discount it entirely, but for me, there's a huge difference in those two things. I would be excited. I've already played this game mode in another game, and it was outstanding. And I've already played Supremacy, and it was not outstanding. I mean, it got a lot better once I got that trespasser. I wish there was cameras, faces of the little people in the corner, and them going, trespasser. I'm surprised I haven't run across it more in the Crucible, as a matter of fact. People still clinging to those shotguns. But yeah, Unilala, how could you love Supremacy? Who are you?
I love it.
I hate all of you. But yeah, but here's what I'm saying. If there was this firefight mode, if there was this horde mode, that would give me such incentive to go and get that icebreaker, because that would be amazing to have in that game mode. Like I visually see this holding up in a small building, and someone's looking out over this ridge and someone's looking out over this ridge, and we're taking turns shooting out enemy emplacements as they come rolling in. Like, it's exciting to me. And the idea that, my icebreaker's out, I'm switching to heavy, or I'm switching to my primary, and then that would be amazing to have. Icebreaker would be amazing to have in that game mode, and that would push me towards that. As it stands, why am I getting Icebreaker? I am not interested in running the Nightfalls, even though I will admit running the Nightfalls, as many times as I did. I think I ran, I ran 15 Nightfalls in total since Icebreaker was available. And I'm just not interested in anymore, because what I'm getting are a bunch of really cool gear that I don't want. And it was nice getting a bunch of light level 400 stuff. And additionally, that Zavala bounty is fantastic. Like, that always gives me something good, but it's never what I want. And because I'm not building up for that Nightfall, because they've been seemingly easier, at least these last couple of weeks, it's not worth it. It's not worth it to me. So I've just stopped. I'm not interested in getting Icebreaker. I had it. It was fantastic. If I played Destiny any more than I do right now, I would probably go into trying to get it. But as it stands, the only reason that I'm playing Destiny at this point is because either other games make me sick because they don't take the time and effort to really put and craft a good first-person view, or B, to get my weekly treasure. This is the only reason that I'm playing at this point. And I love Destiny, and I wish that there was more of a reason. I wish that they would tell me that something is carrying over or nothing is carrying over, because I could cleanse myself. The first thing to go would be all the sweet hand cannons that I have that I'm not ever going to use because I'm not a hand cannon guy, but I keep because they're great rolls. And if hand cannon meta went up again, I might be tempted to use it. I've got some sweet AS Lunas. Another one I got a 400 AS Luna from that Zavala bounty, and I thought to myself, what am I going to use this sweet roll for? But I deleted something else. I put it right into that vault. What's that?
Knowing whether there's going to be another weapon rebalancing ever would be huge in vault cleansing.
That would.
If they're we're done balancing the weapons for now in Destiny 1, you're only going to see minor tweaks from this point on as necessary, then I would be able to cleanse so many things from my vault.
Did you guys see what Briar Rabbit did last week?
Uh-uh.
Okay, so 3, I watched it. I played it all day today in the background while I was doing strikes. He, during his stream, had his followers, yay or nay, and deleted 80 guns.
Dang, that's awesome. I want to do that. I want to have a conversation about my vault space.
Let's do it. I can put it on stream tonight. Let's do it, Remy.
He also,
Remy.
I'm sorry. He wanted to do more. He wanted to do his gear, but the look in his eyes, and I said this to my wife, reminded me of you, Remy, because it was making him sick to watch these things go. But at the same time, it's just stuff. And,
right.
and I was actually sitting here thinking, and if we do a stream, if we get in the Destiny, shoot, I can't think what it's called, Goths thing for Florida. What's it called? Come on.
Destiny Con. Guardian Con.
Destiny Con. If we do part of the stream, we do part of the stream with Destiny Con, I would throw this out to the community. I'll take all 3 of my characters, my entire account, and delete it all for $25,000.
Oh my God!
Everything.
Man, that's pretty
Why
crazy.
not? What's the point? You can't sit here and hold on to this stuff. I look at my vault. My vault's packed full, and I got way more shit than Briar did. I don't know how I have so much shit, but I have way more shit than he did, and I would delete it all. It's like there's no point. Don't sit here and hold on to this stuff. But that's a different subject, anyways.
I like it.
So I want to say, Remy, I kind of felt the same way as you when I found out the only time that I have to debate what I'm removing and what I'm keeping, and it's called "What game do I keep on my system for digital downloads?"
I play that game often as well. Do I delete a bunch of little titles and squeak out a gigabyte or two,
or
do I
take
finally
something delete
big?
Grand Theft Auto?
Right. That's funny. Okay, Jez, let's get to you on Strider Rant. He says recycled content, people screaming about it in raids, but don't want it any other time. He's also saying a giant horde mode, waves of increasingly harder enemies. Also, he's saying this is setting the scene for D2, and also maybe getting some gear that will put you in so you're not as total scrub when you start Destiny 2. And also, what do you think about this leading into a Destiny 2 beta? I'm assuming that he's talking about this because as far as everyone is understanding, Destiny 2 still has a release in 2017. I mean, as far as Jason Schreier is concerned, what do you think about it?
Jason Schreier doesn't think it's going to happen anymore, but we do have an official statement during an earnings meeting that Destiny 2 is planned for release in 2017.
Got it.
That was also before Rise of Iron, though.
That's true.
So I would say, I mean, they're kind of used to reusing some content. Like, they brought back Nexus, and all they changed was, they added the different paths, and they added a different mechanic for the boss sometimes. Actually, he has like 2 mechanics, which is weird.
Yep. There's a cleanse mode, and then there's the shield.
Yeah. Artifact mode, yeah. So they kind of do that, as well as horde mode. They kind of tried that a couple times with Prison of Elders, even though it's more of a finite set of rounds. But I don't think that went over too well for the main population for a long-term solution. They probably would get a bunch of people doing old Vogue and old Crota's End just because people want to use those weapons again. But apart from that, there's no real difference, like the difference between doing Atheon now and Atheon then, I think it's not as dramatic as you probably remember. Because at the end, when everyone was 30, you could 2-cycle Atheon, and now it's just down to 1. Actually, I think you could 1-cycle them with Yellow Horns.
Yeah, or that laser one.
Isn't that the same with any content?
Oh, we didn't have that then.
Level up. I mean, look at Rise of Iron and Wrath of Machine. You know, people. Yeah. Our fire team couldn't get through the first day, and now they're. I mean, literally, we do it in an hour, and that's slow.
The reason why Crota's End, especially, we look back and think, wow, it's really easy to do that at over leveled now, is because when we did him, he was set a level higher. He was always higher than us. And then when we got to House of Wolves, we went past him, and then he dropped like a bag of apples.
Yeah, the hardest content in the game always used to be a level or 2 levels above the highest we could make it to.
Yeah. Vault of Glass had some mechanics that were harder to do from a coordination standpoint rather than your light level. Vault of Glass was harder than Crota's End.
I would agree.
Even when you were higher level than Crota's, or even when you were at level of Crota's End, but way higher than Vault of Glass.
Yeah,
I agree.
Is that all you got, Jez?
Yeah, that's it.
Just okay.
Slight rant on, it's should be a thing in a way, but I wouldn't really want them to take too much time to do it.
I gotcha. Okay, so there you have it, Strider. Those are the opinions. I think that what you're saying is cool, but I'm looking at you right now, and you dreaming, buddy. I know because I'm a dreamer too. So I can't wait to see what they actually bring up. Okay, moving on. The esports by ESL has revealed their rules for Destiny tournaments. The tournament play with ESL will rotate game modes, including Clash, Zone Control, and Supremacy in a single elimination bracket. ESL is ditching Destiny's traditional 3v3 fireteam setup and going with a traditional 4v4 team setup similar to most esports shooter tournaments. Being able to have a tournament structure like this is no doubt thanks to Destiny's private matches, which were added with Rise of Iron expansion. ESL also will not allow duplicate subclasses on one team, and the league has also banned the use of exotic armor and class-specific weapons like Still Piercer. Tournament players will not be allowed to pick up heavy ammo, which technically could be waived off at the start of each match. ESL has also set up an armor rating system that evaluates players' armor and has set a rule that the armor stat may not exceed 7. This is in order to avoid tanky builds that can give players more HP, and the rule should give all players the standard hit points in PvP, which usually lands right around 200. The Blade Dancer's perk Backstab is also banned, which can allow for one-hit melee kills when striking from behind a target, although sometimes that perk is buggy and can activate from the front. ESL has also banned all of the Rise of Iron artifacts, which grant special perks, all except for the Memory of Yolder that gets rid of the sprint cooldown. ESL has also banned armor pieces with the special weapon ammo perk, shotguns with the crowd control and knee pads perk, and any weapon with luck in the chamber. While ESL has banned all exotic armor, most exotic weapons are allowed. The list of banned exotics is Hawkmoon, No Land Beyond, Universal Remote, Invective, Icebreaker, and Queenbreaker's Bow. So I think that this is really cool. I really, really like the idea of parameters. I think it would have been cooler if they just didn't allow any exotic weapons across the board. Like you've already taken out, many of the well-known ones. I see people messing up everyone's day with No Land Beyond often. And so I don't know, why wouldn't you just what about Last Word? That's oftentimes cited as a very irritating weapon to go up against.
That's actually, like, I think holds the record for #1 kills in trials still.
Oh, seriously? Last word still? That's amazing. Yeah. So I don't know why they didn't allow just no exotics, because I think that would have been better. But I think that this is really cool. I like the idea, a 4v4 setup. Like I can't even imagine that unless there were 6 people on the other team and my team had 4. It's the only way I can imagine, having 4 people on my team. But this is really cool. Jez, what do you think about this? Do the rules go far enough, or do you feel like this adds a layer of actual competitiveness to the game?
I mean, it always feels weird when they basically limit the vision of Bungie for a more competitive game when that's what Bungie's trying to do themselves. I feel like either they're missing something Bungie doesn't know, or they're missing something that Bungie knows, or they're seeing something that Bungie doesn't. But I don't know. The rules themselves, like most of the legendaries are better than some of the exotics. So I don't know. I feel like they had enough experience with these items to know which is bad in a competitive setting.
I agree with that. Agrios, what do you think?
No, I would agree with that. I think the rules are tapered for consistent gameplay. I think what they did was they took out things that can cause more extreme variables in gameplay. Like the choices you have left allow for very consistent expectations across the board, regardless of what your competitors choose to employ.
Yeah, definitely. And this is, I don't know. Jez really hit it on the head. They want a competitive shooter, but I feel like what they wanted also was to shake it up a bit. Like maybe this person is extra dangerous for these specific bonuses.
Well, like the whole thing, like you can't have more than one of the same subclass on the team. Like what they're trying to avoid is people figuring out like bubble trains,
totally,
and things like that. It seems to me like that's what they sat down and they're like, how can we gimmick proof our setup?
I really like
that was gimmick out.
Right. I really like the idea that you can't have more than one of the same subclass on a team. That's really exciting. Like I don't necessarily see, everyone being the same subclass. Like even when I'm on an alt hunter team, which is quite regular, there's always a blade dancer. There's always a gunslinger. So, but you're right. In situations like this, people will really get down to the nitty gritty and, max out every single little tidbit of option to give them that bonus. And if those bonuses aren't allowed, then, you don't get to use them. Sharks, what do you think about these new ESL rules for tournaments?
I love tournaments. I think it's great. Yeah, go. But I do not agree with all the rules. Okay, so I agree. I think that they should have some kind of rules. So you have to set up some kind of boundaries for people. But some of the bans that they've put in here are just blanket bans because they saw people that picked that stuff during the last tournament and wrecked people's faces. And, you're going to take out all the fun. If you take out every single part of Destiny, because these are Destiny fans playing, then it just becomes a shooter.
What rules are you referring to?
They had a tournament last month.
No. I mean, right now, you're saying some of these rules they have in there are taking the fun out. Which rules are you referring to that they've created are you against?
Oh, you can't have max armor. Well, when you have max armor, it takes away from other things.
No. They're not saying you can't have max armor. What they're doing is the classes that can get armor above what other classes can, they're saying they can't get the extra armor.
Okay, but what I'm trying to say is that stuff is in game now. Those perks, if you go and pick somebody with all those perks and everything, it doesn't mean that is the only way to play and that they can't be beat. All right?
No, but that's what it does when you're talking about the people with the highest skill level, is that'll become the only way they can play.
There's always going to be somebody that's going to find out the best way to play. With them taking out the stuff that they've taken out now, then those elite people are going to go, okay, so out of what we've got left over, what's going to be the best to play? And somebody's going to figure it out. Somebody's going to wreck face with it. And then the MLG tournament will go, oh, wow, we forgot about that one. Let's take that one out now, too. It's this spiraling thing. You've got all this stuff. Let them play with it. Let people figure out what is the best, like we've been doing for going on the third year now with Destiny. I understand that they don't want people to go in there with perks and stuff that are just going to completely destroy the game, but everybody has the opportunity to go in with that kind of stuff. I agree with putting in one subclass, but taking out certain guns or whatever because they feel that those are stronger guns. I don't know. I don't know if I totally agree with that because everybody else can use that same gun too. This is the same conversation that we've had with Remy in the past with Universal Remote. Well, I don't like Universal Remote. I get wrecked every time I go into Crucible. Well, you have the opportunity to use it too, just like all these MLG players would.
But I think that's the idea. What you keep saying is actually my point for them removing them, is that, yeah, since that's the best way to do it, you can go ahead and do it that way too. But that's the thing, is when you get these people there at the peak of the skill, like you can't really get better at the game. These guys are all close to equal at being the best as you can be. They're going to get pigeonholed into certain things. It's going to become, well, since this subclass of Titan can get this 10 extra armor than anybody else in the game, the Titan on the team's got to run that subclass. So they don't want these games to be pigeonholed into, if you run Titan, you have to run this Titan because of this armor, and that's the only thing that these competitive teams will accept.
But that's not the case, though. That's not how it is. There's certain subclasses. Every subclass can take a... Okay, for instance, here, I'll put it this way. Okay, after Golden Gun got nerfed, the trip mines, nobody wanted to use trip mines anymore. They suck. You know what? I kick ass with the way trip mines are now. So you know what? They may suck compared to how they did before, and maybe I can't go in and completely dominate like it used to be. I can still, by playing a different way, go in, throw my trip mine, and watch people die over and over and over again. People are going to find what works better. If you take away something, because you're saying that it's making everybody pick that, they're going to pick something else that's going to be better. Right now, everybody, what is it that everybody, Blade Dancer. That's what people swear up and down, Blade Dancer. I can still kick a Blade Dancer's ass.
See, I would say by removing that trip mine from the Hunter, from the Golden Gun, its power, they actually opened up Blade Dancer and Night Stalker to be being run more now. Like, before, Golden Gun was the pigeonhole, and now I feel like there's an even spread of Hunters. Yep. So that's kind of what I'm saying they're doing here for the tournament, is they're removing these pigeonholes so that you have an even spread.
Yeah, but this goes, taking away doesn't say make things better. Okay, that taking away isn't going to make it a wider open stuff.
Look at what they took away. They took away the oddball things. Like the shotgun in the primary slot, the sniper in the primary slot, the fusion rifle sniper. They took away the weird things that break the norm.
But I'm saying is that somebody that doesn't use that can still go and watch Crafty play.
But what I'm saying is, you know what to expect on the enemy team. Then
you can give Crafty any gun in the game, and then go and give somebody else these awesome guns, and he's going to kick their ass still.
Totally.
Right? So it shouldn't make a difference. It
But
doesn't make.
He's playing himself in a competitive tournament.
Everybody isn't
question, guys.
the same.
What primary do you think they're gonna use now?
Yeah, if you're gonna do it that way, then why not just blanket everything and say, oh, you're only allowed to use these subclasses and these guns? Because it would be boring. Then it would be like every other shooter out there. You're doing MLG Destiny, then you should be able to play every part of Destiny. That's my opinion. I mean, is
there something in the rules you have a problem with other than the armor cap and them removing the oddball exotics weapons? And all exotic armor.
They also got rid of all the Rise of Iron artifacts except for the sprint cooldown one.
That's taking out something else. It's just more options that they're taking out for people. I don't know. And yet they leave the non cooldown one. Well, shit, you're leaving probably the worst one in there because the non cooldown one just allows people to run and gun and shoot with a shotgun.
And now everyone will
affect anybody but yourself. I think what they're trying to do is provide people the ability to anticipate a certain set of what their opponents are going to be running, rather than to nerf what they're using. It's more to be able to expect what your other team, to be prepared for what the other team is running.
Okay, so I have an idea.
What if they limited it to something where every weapon in a slot has the same time to kill?
Okay, so I was just going to say this, similar. Like, I don't know how you would match all of those time to kills like that. That would be crazy. Z-Dog says, Destiny will never be a perfectly balanced game. It's a waste of time to try to make it into a competitive esport. I agree that it will never be a perfectly balanced game, but I do not believe that it's a waste of time to try and make it into a competitive esport. I think what would have been even cooler for this ESL to do would have been for them to limit you to... limit you to the legendary gear available from the vendors in the tower at the time.
We've talked about that before, right?
Yeah, like so this season will be all of those blue and orange weapons from the Crucible, or anything from New Monarchy or Dead Orbit, or they could even bring it down, to
probably just the two, yeah.
Like one of those vendors, or Dead Orbit or the Vanguard, like they could make it to where everybody who's going to be using this specific sniper has these options. Everybody who wants to use this shotgun, you've only got 4 sets of it or 5 sets of different shotguns, and everyone has access to all of these. Like, I think that would be a fantastic way to keep everybody in with the same stuff. Like, what everyone is going to be using. There is no, this person has a much better role.
So I thought of this before, and you just reminded me of it. What I thought would be neat with Bungie, with this, I thought of this back a long time ago, before they even actually enacted the private match mode. But I thought would be a neat option for private matches would be to have like a default character selection. Like, rather than have to have a character leveled to a certain point, it's a character that you don't get, that you can just pick to use, and it literally would have like all the weapons at the Crucible and Vanguard vendor for you to just choose from in your pre-match loadout. Like, he'd just have all those in his equipment, and you could load anything that's like, basically he'd have the entire inventory of the Crucible and the Vanguard vendors just in his equipment.
I like that.
Put whatever on, and then everybody has the exact same thing, so that you could create a mode with that sort of setup.
I like that, but that negates the whole thing that Bungie's trying to do with, this is your character in PvE, this is your character in PvP.
Yeah, but this is for custom matches. This is fantasy.
I see what you're saying.
This is for the esport people.
Well, what you're basically saying is give everybody the exact same weapons and armor.
The option.
And then it comes down to skill.
Option.
And then it comes down to skill.
I like that. I give them the opportunity to show, for instance, Agrios, Remy, and I went in, and we did the MLG first thing, the very first one that they had, and we got our asses kicked. And we got our asses kicked because the people that were playing were better. It didn't make a difference.
No, it did matter. They were all using shotguns and those cryptic dragon.
You know, it would help if they also gave us more tools when setting up the match. Like, rather than have to worry about telling you to hard cap your armor, you can set it at all players hard capped at 203 armor. As like a match setting. Then anybody could run whatever you want, and nobody has a particular advantage above 203. You could sacrifice below 203. You just set it at whatever the highest one that the weakest guy could achieve, or whatever it is, you know?
I like that. That's interesting. YFD654 says, "Here's what grinds my gears. I play Destiny every single day. I cannot for the life of me use a shotgun in PvP effectively. I have been pigeonholed into only using pulse rifles with high caliber rounds. It's the only way to down a shotgunner at mid to close range now. And I am in the same boat with you as far as using shotguns in the Crucible. Like I've gone out of my way to find and keep shotguns that I feel would be competitive. And I can't use them either. I've seen videos. I've seen many videos of people using shotguns so effectively and so amazingly. So that when I got these same pieces of gear, I figured that I would be able to do the same thing, and I was not able to do the same thing, not by a long shot. But I didn't want to give up my DIS-47, and so I solved this with the Trespasser. The Trespasser. And I've said this every week since I got it. The Trespasser is the most amazing piece of gear. And when you find those shotgunners who that's what they want to play and that's all they're going to play is their special weapon, is the Trespasser. It just eats them alive. And at some point, me and Agrios are going to do one-on-one, and he's going to be shotgun, and I'm going to be Trespasser, and I'm going to chew him up. Like we're talking like that time when Hulk Hogan put up Andre the Giant and slammed him, and it's going to be amazing. It's going to be amazing, and we're gonna have to talk about it, and you guys are gonna hear all about it. It's gonna be fantastic. I mean, I really hope I win.
Good luck. But you know what? I always hear you talk about the Trespasser. I picked one up originally. I didn't have room. I wasn't going to use it anytime soon, so I deleted it. You know, I figured I'd pick it back up from my vault at some point. Never got around to using it. Popped one out of an engram this week for level 400 already and everything. So I'm like, all right. And this week it's Nightfall Specialist.
Awesome.
So like, there you go. Now's my time to try it out. It's Nightfall Specialist. I got it good to go. So right. I'm gonna break it out and use it in the Nightfall this week. That'll be my first experience with it. What is Nightfall this week?
I don't know.
Sharks, do you remember what Nightfall is this week?
It's
I don't remember offhand.
I don't know. Give me a second.
I normally have the list pulled up, but I don't have it this week. But anyway.
Exactly, Mark Square. Exactly. Each season, the loadout would change. That is so cool. That is so cool. No, and Cultrosity, you're right. They say, I don't like this idea at all because it robs Destiny of what makes it special. What you guys are talking about is basically just Halo. You know, you're right. And I oftentimes think about Halo when I think about this, about, you know, putting the parameters so close as to have everybody using the same gear. That is basically what I'm saying. But I mean, it doesn't stop me from also wanting a horde mode like Firefight or wanting a Forge mode. You know, like I want to see these other aspects that have been in other games, specifically Halo. I would love to see those in there. And really, you're right. It is robbing Destiny of what makes it special, but for only one mode. We're not talking about for the majority of it. We're talking about like pro sport tournament mode, where I want skill to be the factor in whether I win or that guy wins. You know, like I understand that Destiny and PvP is about what gear you bring in with you, and the people that have the most time to grind for the best stuff, they're going to have the better gear. I'm totally on board with that. But
you call it like recruit training mode, and you're playing a Guardian who's just been unlocked by his ghost, and he's training in the tower with, you know, starter equipment, basically. You know, you could even theme it out somehow, you know.
Well, I mean, if you look at, I've watched Halo tournaments, and with Halo tournaments, for instance, heavies are sitting there in the middle of the map, and one team gets a heavy. You know, they already know what heavy is. They're using their guns. It's all about positioning and teamwork. It's not about, oh, this gun is that much better then I'm going to kick your ass. And I agree with you. I think that that's how tournaments should run. But I also, my problem is that's not what they're trying to do. They're just taking out things that they feel was overpowered, and they're in fact, they were taking out stuff that was overpowered. They're not giving the players a chance to counteract that in the next tournament, because they can. Good players can.
Hey, Duba Raid, thank you for dropping all your wonderful viewers into our lap. The show's just about over. I think we started late. Yeah, we started.
We did
pretty
start
late.
late. It's got a little bit of time yet here.
But we appreciate it.
I'll repitch an idea for a game mode that I still want in this game.
Yeah, do it.
A gun game.
Gun game.
Bring us gun game and use the guns that people bring to the game.
Extrapolate, please.
Basically, in gun game, every time you get a kill, you switch guns.
Oh, you switch to whatever the person was using?
No, usually it's you start off with a really good gun, and then you work your way to like a knife. And like, just the worse gun you have, the better you did.
Oh,
yeah, so it becomes harder and harder to get kills, and potentially easier to kill the person who's like doing really good. So like it kind of balances the game itself out, like to a degree.
So it would be really hard to do in Destiny unless they used like a standardized like tier of weapons, or
like what we were talking about, right?
Yeah.
Well, that's what a lot of people were thought was coming when they were talking about Archon's Forge before they actually told us what it was.
I agree.
So, are we going to talk about SRL, the end of the dawning, before the show here?
Yeah, let's do it. Why don't you start it off, Agrios?
All right. Well, I had fun. I wish. I don't want to say I wish. I hope they bring SRL back again. I know some people had their fill of SRL. I didn't really. I had a lot of stuff going on over the holidays. They brought it here over the holidays last year. I didn't manage to finish all the quests on all my characters, and I didn't manage to finish everything this year either. Just really busy, didn't have a lot of time to put into the game over the holiday season here. Although I really have a lot of fun racing in SRL. So I find it, sad that I won't be able to continue to matchmake when I go back to Destiny, if that's something I want to do. Being with my limited play time, I was really, really concerned with whether I was going to get, the rewards that I wanted to get, or even complete my, S-class license on even one character. I came down to the final day of the event, in fact, and I only had like my Titan on level like 3 or 4 at the start of the day, and that was it as far as rank goes. So I managed to rank that Titan all the way up to 5. I managed to, and luckily on the very last race I raced on my Titan, I managed to get the helmet that I needed, the air control helmet, because I didn't have one on my Titan yet. So I was pretty psyched about that. I managed to get my Hunter up to 4, so I unlocked the helmet from the kiosk for my Hunter. And I mean up to level 3 to unlock that. And then my Warlock, I managed to get the whole way up to level 5, and I also managed to get my S-Class license done with my Warlock. This is all coming in, sliding into the nitty-gritty, SRL is about to end time here. I managed to pull all of the emblem. I had pulled one emblem and one new shader prior to the last day. And on that last day, over the course of the race, I managed to pull both of the Crimson shells, a sugary shell and a Crimson shell, all of the emblems but the one for Infinite Descent, and all of the shaders. And it came down to, I had everything done I needed to get done, and I'm like, well, I didn't run my weekly heroic for my Dawning blocks yet. I got 23 minutes to a changeover. I could try for that emblem on Infinite Descent, but I mean, what are the odds? I got to get that track. Then I got to get the emblem to drop. I got 23 minutes. It takes almost 10 minutes to complete a race. So I proceed to queue up and exit races as they load in to get Infinite Descent up until 40.
Bad.
Hey, that's giving other people free wins and stuff.
Bad.
That's not hurting anybody else. I could have been giving people first place or first through third place because I believe in the race, because I always take first through third, so I'm giving somebody else one of those slots by ditching out on a race.
It's technically not a detriment because there's no team.
So with 13 minutes left, I get Infinite Descent, finish it, get the emblem. So I got everything. And I had time to load into the Heroic Strike and get my my Dawning box before the end of the week. So all in all, I wrapped it up pretty good.
Sharks, how was your experience with SRL?
So my most enjoyable day during SRL was the last week. And Mystic Rose was in my chat, and I was just racing and just screwing around as normal, not really anything to work for at that point. But she was saying how she still hadn't won any races, and she was asking me some questions, and so I was trying. It was the most difficult thing ever to try to explain how to race, how to hold your controller, and compare it to an Xbox, because she's actually on Xbox. But what to do, what tricks to use as far as where you're boosting, what you're hitting, what your lines are. And so I went through a big, huge, long spiel about trying to, do it, hold it this way, do it that way, blah, blah, blah. In the end, I ended up during a couple different races, not even caring what place I was in. I mean, who cares what place you're in anyways? It doesn't make a difference, right? And so I'd be like, okay, this is where you boost to the left. This is where you boost to the right. You have to push your joypad this way or that way, and the stick this way. And that was the most enjoyable part of the entire SRL thing for me. And I love SRL. I think it's great. But I think I'm enjoying a lot more of my streaming and really just doing things with people, and even being able to do things when you can't actually do them with them. It would have been easier to go into a private match and say, okay, so follow me, this is where you want to boost and do it like that. But instead I was doing it on stream, and she said it was helping her. I don't know if she ended up ever getting any wins or not, but that was my enjoyment of SRL, was that one little point right there, just trying to help somebody out and doing it on stream. So
that's really cool, Sharks. That kicks ass. Gray, what about you? How did you feel about SRL and the Dawning? I mean, the Dawning is still continuing, the strikes are still going, and all these other things, but why don't we wrap up SRL for you? Did you get everything that you're looking for? Did you enjoy it?
I haven't finished everything yet. I'm glad that we have private matches to still grind some of that stuff out, just because real life has taken over most of my free time outside of the 2 hours I do this podcast. But
which we all really appreciate.
What I've learned is that I still really like going fast, and I really hate forklifts. That's about it.
That was a problem for you? The forklift stood out to you?
No, only the first time. I think it was a really clever thing that Bungie did, but we talked about that a lot last week. I really like SRL, and I'm glad that we don't have to wait a year to experience it again, that you can jump in there with your friends and just say, hey, let's screw around and race for a little while instead of doing something more intense.
Jez, wrapping up SRL, what did you think? Did you get everything you were looking for?
I think so. But then again, I don't really know what I didn't get, as far as like all the random little
shaders and emblems
and stuff. I mean, I got all the ones from last year, and I did get all my characters to rank 5 just so I can get those boxes. But yeah. Also, out of all the boxes that I've had through the entire SRL/Dawning time, only one turned into a piece of armor. I had 2 pieces of armor for the hunter set. The rest have been like sparrows and that other set that no one cares about.
Man, you say that like sparrows weren't the best thing to get out of those.
The best thing. So
what's that?
Some of them were not that great.
You don't care about the sparrows. So my wife, I told you guys this, that my wife got the best sparrow on her first box. And I opened up all my boxes, and I got one. Was okay, but it's definitely not the best one. Then Maynard James, shit, did the same thing. Very first box, goddamn awesome Sparrow. The Sparrows are the best thing. The best thing that we're dropping out of those boxes. Who cares about the dumb armor?
You say that, but
why do they put out Sparrows that aren't as good as the best Sparrows that are already out?
Also, I don't see my Sparrow as often as I see my armor, I don't see my armor at all. But other people don't see my Sparrow as much as they see my armor, and the arms and legs of the Hunter armor and probably the Titan armor, because it's pretty much the same armor, were really nice with the gold lines and stuff.
The Titan armor looks really cool. That gold armor, Titan armor, was really awesome. I don't like the little lines, but the armor set itself was something that I really wanted from the year one blue items.
I really wish there were two things to equip for Sparrows. I wish you equipped a Sparrow shell or a Sparrow skin, however you want to put it, shell, Sparrow something, and a Sparrow engine.
Are you saying you want Sparrow transmog?
The best engine you could have, and then put any one of your skins on that engine.
No, you're forgetting one thing, Agrios. Sparrow guns.
Are you basically just asking for a Sparrow transmog?
But I just need the ability to run whatever Sparrow look I want with whatever Sparrow engine I have is best.
He probably can't hear you, Jez.
No, I don't think he can. He's too busy making a point. I said, you're basically asking for Sparrow transmog.
Yeah, there we go. Sparrow transmog. That is what I would want.
Well, what I want is Sparrow customization. Like, it would be cool just to pick a Sparrow and then pick the engine, maybe pick the heads-up display, or something like this, or maybe what are the colors coming off the wingtips. That would be cool to customize as well. For me, I had either a ton of fun with SRL, or I had just a ton of frustration. Like I hated being in the front of the pack because I knew I was going to lose it by the end of the match. And really, that's always what happened. I always got hung up on some stupid bullcrap, and the frustration is just so insane. Z-Dog says SRL was super sweaty this year. They had one first place finish in like 50 races, and I totally agree. SRL was so sweaty this year. And so I'm excited and also scared by the fact that now we can practice on these four maps. I can go in and keep my Sparrow Racing chops up, but so can the whole rest of the world. And so next time Sparrow Racing comes around, it's going to be even crazier. What I'd like to see is Sparrow Racing 2 times a year. I think that that's the right number of times for Sparrow Racing to show up. Once in December and maybe once in June or something like this. Like I would love to see
spring, early summer, yeah.
Yeah, like I would love to see it not just be one time a year. I feel like that brings up its coolness factor a little bit for me, because I didn't get to play as much Sparrow Racing as I wanted to this year. I only got my Hunter on both systems to level 5. And I don't know. I wish I had more time in it. But at the same time,
on the holidays is the only time they've done it so far. Both times, just like some people are just so busy. Some people travel. Like it's a shame, really, if that's the only time of year they continue to do it.
Danny 2601 says, "Looks good, feel good, play good. Titan armor was legit, definitely." That was one of the first things we talked about on this show, was that many of the green and blue sets of armor looked a lot cooler than the legendary sets. And so, I understand a lot of people are calling foul on, rehashing old gear, but I don't know. I'm excited to have some of this gear be legendary, like the Warlock set. It was a set that I hung on to for the longest time because it was, you know what? I think it was actually the PlayStation exclusive armor. I think all of those were the PlayStation exclusive armor, wasn't it? The Hunter's head was PlayStation exclusive, and so yeah. I don't know about the Titan though. Anyways, I had a really good time. I'm looking forward to it again, but I wish I had just the tiniest bit more control over what happened with my Sparrow. I feel like, hitting this invisible little block sends me to the very end of the match, and that's just a bummer. There is no, and you know what? And it played the other way for me as well. One time I was like 5th place and everybody dipped right into this hole and I just zipped right past them and took 1st place. I didn't earn it. I was sitting in the back of the pack the whole time. These guys were way better than me and they all just made this mistake and I took 1st and it felt rotten. I didn't deserve to win. And at the same time, like you were saying, it was like one of 20 races for me. I won. So I definitely didn't get to S class. I don't even think I finished A class, as a matter of fact. I think I got 3, 1st, 2nd, or 3rd place. Oh, you know what else was crazy? And I don't know why this is. Whenever I picked up the bounties for those 1st, 2nd, or 3rd places, I would never get those. And as soon as I started passing them by because I didn't have space for them, and I knew I wasn't going to get 1st, 2nd, or 3rd, I would get 1st, 2nd, or 3rd. So frustrating. But I'm glad that those dawning boxes are still around. I'm looking forward to getting those pieces of armor. They are pretty cool looking. Sharks, did you ever figure out why your armor stopped glowing?
It wasn't only mine. It was a community thing. I don't know why, but it was for a couple days that it was not glowing.
Is it back to glowing now?
It's back to glowing.
Interesting.
Yeah, it was really weird.
So there's obviously something with the Dawning update that was doing it, right? Because now the Dawning's gone, they started glowing again, right?
Right.
Okay.
Is it just in the tower that it stopped glowing? Like if someone looked at you in like on a planet, was it glowing at that point?
I didn't notice. I didn't test it.
Because maybe it had something to do like all those orbs were glowing and floating in the air or something. Maybe one of those effects is on the same sort of glow wavelength, or whatever, and that it was just negating it in the tower even.
I'm not sure. I'm not positive. I didn't look into it that much. I just when I first noticed it, I was like, well, I'm not gonna infuse. Not that it would have mattered, but I'm not gonna infuse 400 gear into something that was garbage, that's not gonna glow anymore. So I didn't. And then the second I saw that it was glowing again, I was like, okay, well, it is supposed to be glowing, and I infused it. But yeah.
Oh my God, Maynard James says in chat, and I hate you for this, Maynard James. He says, what did you get at rank 5? I stopped when I got my S license. Are you kidding me? You got your S license before you got to rank 5?
Well, if you didn't turn in any bounties, that wouldn't have been that hard.
Yeah, I guess so.
But he didn't start racing until the end of the week.
Yeah, the very last day I went from absolute 0 to rank S license on my Warlock.
Gotcha.
I got to rank 10 on almost all of them.
Oh my God. That's crazy, Sharks. That's crazy. Okay, so we have come to the end of the show, unless anybody had anything else they wanted to say real quick before we go. Anyone? Anything? Excellent. Then shout-outs, starting with Gray.
My shout-out this week goes to Jez, actually. The audience may not know this, but Jez is consistently the first one to answer the phone call every week. And he doesn't get near enough credit for that. Some of these guys wait 10 minutes after the show starts, 15 minutes after the show. Jez never. I don't know if, since I've been on the show, which has been now going on for quite a few months, I don't know if I've ever seen Jez be late for the show, and I think he deserves a shout-out for that. Thank you, Jez.
Sharks.
My shout out goes to everybody that joins me in stream. I stream almost every day when I can. So plug myself, Sharks 3D Man on Twitch. Come and see me and chat with me because none of my friends play Destiny anymore. So I got to talk to somebody.
You don't answer any of your messages.
I'm online playing. That's why.
Agrios.
Shout out to Deej and Cosmo. Both of them have birthdays this week. Happy birthday.
Is that right? I thought that Deej dispelled that myth.
Oh, that wasn't really Deej's birthday earlier this week? Cosmo
No.
really is
Apparently,
isn't it? Yeah.
Apparently, not too many people in the Destiny community know what a cake day is, but it's just the day that you created your Reddit account. And it's called a cake day. It's called a cake day because when you post on Reddit on that day, you have a little cake by your name.
Okay. I just saw people talking about Deej's birthday this week. I didn't really know, but I know it was like Cosmo's birthday was like earlier today.
No, they lit up his Twitter like crazy. Everyone in the community gave him a happy birthday. It was really funny.
Okay, so no happy birthday, Deej. You don't get it one. I hope your birthday, if it was this week, it wasn't happy. But happy birthday, Cosmo.
Jez.
Shout out to Diva because you're my favorite Overwatch character. I have no shoutouts ever, so never ask me.
Okay, my shout out this week is to Jez because Gray, not only in the time that you've been here has he been the first to pick up and is never late, but every show before you joined, every single show before you joined, he was always the first one to pick up. And oftentimes I would joke around with him about, hey, it looks like it's just me and you doing the show. Because, like you were saying, 10, 15 minutes afterwards, after 8. But yeah, it is really... it is really nice to have you, number one, on the show, Jez, but also, always very punctual, always, you always have an opinion on everything, and you do a lot of fact checking. So it's really great to have you on the show. Thank you for always being punctual. And you're so good at it that Gray had to point it out to you. So my shout out this week. Thank you very much, Jez. And that wraps up episode 115. We would like to thank everyone listening for tuning in. We hope you enjoyed the show. If you have any suggestions for topics to be discussed on the show or have any comments on something that has already been covered, please leave them in the comments below or send them to feedback@guardian1.net, and we will see you next week.